Motherhood changes everything. Our bodies, our priorities, how we see ourselves. And a lot of those things are good. I think the key is not losing who we are completely, but it's normal to change. I mean, how I saw the world pre-Calvin was completely different. I mean, everything shifted. But I do remember after having him, that postpartum time, I know everyone deals with it at different levels. There was such a big shift where some days I was like, who am I? I was so insecure. It was just figuring out, who am I in this role now? Welcome back to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. I am Leah Williams.
Hi there. I am Kellie Hoover. Super excited to be on with you, Leah, the best co-host ever.
Wow, I'm so excited because every time we align our schedules and we get to chat, it's the best part of the week. And with crazy schedules, it's hard to do. But when we come together and talk about topics that are so relevant to us and so many of our friends, it's just encouraging to feel like, one, you're not alone, and two, what are some resources and things? I mean, I learn something from you every time.
Well, I'm excited about our topic today. Our topic is confidence after kids and truly rebuilding the woman in the mirror. And this is something that I know Leah and I both spend time on. We probably haven't always been exactly where we're at now, but we're excited to be able to share just some things that maybe we've struggled with and how we've gotten to where we are today.
Well, motherhood changes everything. Our bodies, our priorities, how we see ourselves. And a lot of those things are good. I think the key is not losing who we are completely, but it's normal to change. I mean, how I saw the world pre-Calvin was completely different. I mean, everything shifted. But I do remember after having him, that postpartum time, I know everyone deals with it at different levels. There was such a big shift where some days I was like, who am I? I was so insecure. It was just figuring out, who am I in this role now? And especially if you have a big change where maybe you don't go back to work, or there's just so much that changes for you mentally, processing it. It's challenging. Right after.
Yes, it is. So I know today, Leah, we're going to really talk about our reconnecting back with who we are, right? We've had a child, we've had multiple children. I know our listeners, they have small kids, teenage kids, grown kids, but really reconnecting back with who you are. And I think you have to do this at multiple points of your life. It's not just right after you have a child. You have to stay there because, let's be honest, kids take up a lot of our life, right? So tell me a little, Leah, why does confidence, do you think, take such a hit after you had Calvin? We have kids. Tell me why you feel that it takes that hit for moms.
Well, I think especially if you're used to being high performing in any area of your life, usually you can create a formula or a set of actions, and usually you kind of know the outcome. So, if I do X, Y, Z, I should get this outcome. And with kids, that doesn't work. You try to plan things out, and typically the outcome is completely different. So I think there's this control element where you're in a completely new situation where you don't know what the outcome is going to be. So there's that. I feel like you have a confidence hit because it's easy to feel like you're failing, whether it's early on from the basic things of, everyone's supposed to breastfeed, right? Like, that's just what you do. And even from day one, you can feel like a failure if that doesn't work for you. So it's all of the new things that you're presented with. And if you're used to doing well and achieving, and then all of a sudden you're failing, at least in your mind, you're really not. But, in the beginning, it's a hit to your ego for sure. But you start to feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to be a good enough parent for this child? And as seasons change, you still question yourself, but for different reasons. So yeah, that was big for me. And then I think the physical aspect of it too, you just look different. And I believe there's so much that we can do to feel strong again, because that's the biggest thing, is feeling strong, feeling healthy. But we all had that feeling as we start gaining weight, and it's not just in our stomach, we're like, what happened? Every
Yes.
woman feels that. Oh, there are a couple of unicorns where, they're this tiny little person, then there's just a little bump, but that is rare. So yeah, I think it's the mental shift, not knowing what the outcome of some of these new responsibilities that you have are going to be, feeling like you're kind of failing with some of the things, like moms are supposed to be good at this, and sometimes we struggle with them. So yeah, that's just the pain you go through, the healing, all of those things, at least for me, were it just took time. It took time to love this different version of me.
Mhm.
And I've only done it one time. So I
Well,
can imagine.
yeah. And I do think that demands, you're post having a child and then like there's responsibilities and we put ourselves on that complete back burner, whether it is emotional support, physical support, all this things look different. We're now in our minds, we're like, oh, we have this huge responsibility. Therefore, we don't have the ability, the time or desire to take care of ourselves as much. And so you lose who you are. Your identity now becomes I'm a mom, not I'm Leah, I'm Kellie. But I really believe that it doesn't have to be that way. I know in the very beginning, when you first have a baby, there's those emotions and you're trying to figure it all out. But as kids grow, I really think that we all as women should be encouraging, really, truly encouraging the confidence to come back. And that does look very different for each one of us. It really, truly does.
What are some of the smaller steps? Because it does feel overwhelming. I mean, when you add in sleep deprivation, I mean, brains aren't working the same either. But what are some of the really small things that you found with both of your girls and as they grew and from the beginning to just every season is busy that you started doing for yourself that made all the difference, that made you feel like, you know what? I am still the badass Kellie Hoover. I still have all those amazing qualities. I just now have two little people in my life. Or just what are some small things that you did that were
Yeah.
impactful?
I think, it is. It can be very overwhelming if you're thinking about changing all these things at once. So I do think starting small and something that makes you feel good. I do know I have never heard anyone say that they go and they move their body, whether it's going to a fitness class, it's going on a walk, it's going out and playing pickleball or tennis or something that gets your heart rate up or physical activity. It releases endorphins. Endorphins make us happy. So I've never heard someone, they may come back from a hard workout and be like, oh man, that was hard. But they don't say like, I'm in a worse mood after working out.
Right.
No, everyone feels better. It doesn't matter the intensity. It just matters that you're doing some sort of physical activity. So I say start small. Like for me, I know that everything else goes better when I am moving my body. And so there's so many easy ways to do it. You can walk around your driveway. You can walk up and down your neighborhood, your backyard, like put a baby in a stroller and go somewhere, but just physically moving, go to a Pilates class, go to a gym, go do something. I know for me, a lot of times, if I really am like, okay, I need to get my social battery, like I want to socialize and I need to move my body, what can I do to do both of those things at once? Because I don't have time to like go to lunch with a friend and go exercise. Great. Let me go walk with a friend. So I'm getting my
Mhm.
social battery. I'm getting exercise. Let me go play pickleball because it's fun. I'm doing it with friends. And so I think for you, then just the mom out there who really is like, I am stuck. I'm stuck in this rut. Like, what can I do? Start small. And I say, go move your body. If you need to be alone, put some great music on, listen to a podcast, listen to a book, do something, and just go walk, even 1 mile. I think that is something small. The other thing I will say, starting very, very small, is just taking time for yourself to start your day. Like getting up in the morning and doing something for you. Whether that is reading a book, whether it is saying affirmations, writing in a gratitude journal, taking some silence to go sit outside, put your feet in the grass and listen to the birds. Like it doesn't have to cost money and it doesn't have to take a lot of time. 5 minutes, but be disciplined about it. I will tell you, whatever you do, I had this thought over and over, Leah. It literally sits here on my desk because it is discipline in anything in life. It leads to habit. Habits lead to consistency. Consistency leads to your growth. And your growth truly, that can be your confidence. But it starts with just being disciplined. And it can start with something small, like 5 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
So I think that for me is the easiest way to start.
And that small commitment, I think we've all experienced it, whether it's getting up at a certain time or saying that you're going to work out. And it doesn't, I still catch myself doing this where a workout doesn't have to be at a gym. I'm like, oh, I couldn't make it to the gym. I can't work out today. That's what I tell myself. I will tell you some great workouts happen when you're playing with your children or, taking them for a walk. I remember being a new mom. I walked those neighborhood streets constantly. Pushing a stroller is a good workout too.
Yeah.
It I think we tell ourselves these things that it has to be the perfect environment or we have to have Lululemon clothes on and look beautiful like the Instagram people working out. nobody cares. It doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
just about helping ourselves and really being selfish. Like, this is what I need to be the greatest version of me. And just, it's all the head trash
I
that
do.
we just,
I totally agree with you. And I know for both of us, we're juggling business, we're juggling motherhood. Mindset is so important because if our subconscious brain are so incredibly powerful. So if we say to ourselves, like we're looking in the mirror and we say to ourselves, we don't like what we see and we're not doing anything about it, we're going to continue to dig that hole, right? But like I think about you and I think about like you have such a good mindset. You juggle so much with being a mom and so much with business. So, like, how do you feel like important mindset is when you're juggling all of these things and you're trying to take really good care of you? How important is that for you, Leah?
to me, mindset, while we should be able to dictate how we feel, how we, just create our environment by the way we think, there are outside factors. And I think one of those factors that is a controllable is the people that we're around. So that has been a huge one for me, changing my circle over time and being okay with that circle changing as you grow. You think about the friends that you used to hang out with 5 years ago, unless you are both growing on the same path, it might not make sense to spend as much time together if you're growing quickly. And this is not a I'm better than you thing. It has nothing to do with that. It's just your paths might look different and sometimes they don't align. It is okay if you aren't spending tons of time together because that won't serve you. And honestly, you won't be able to be the friend you want to be for them either because you're just on different paths. So that's been something that continues to resonate for me as I change. I'm not the same me as I was even a year ago. So sometimes you have your ride or die people that will always be in your life, no matter what. But I think for a lot of women that are eager to grow and change, you have to be okay with your people changing and sometimes not having a lot of people close to you. You go through these phases where you don't have 30 friends that you're hanging out with. You might have one. And being okay with that, we also just don't have amazing
Yeah.
relationships with 35 best friends.
I know. I struggle with that actually a lot. I do struggle because I do love spending time with certain people, but I know when I do that, other things like don't get done, right? So it truly is a balance to have that in your life and to know where to do it. So who to spend it with, and then you feel bad. I always feel bad. I'm like, oh, I want to, but I realize that the more time you take away from doing those types of things, especially if it's one-on-one time with friends, it takes away from like the goals, other type of things,
Yeah.
and you're really busy. If you're working on yourself and you're really spending time developing you as a person, sometimes we have to trump and we have to like that our time with ourselves trumps it. And like, okay, we have this amount of time. We have to spend it on rebuilding the woman in the mirror, not necessarily
Right.
spending our time with our friends.
Yeah. And I mean, I think being honest, any friend that's really caring and cares about your well being. And if I feel like if we're just honest and, I have a hard time too, we never want to hurt people's feelings because we're not saying, I don't want to be with you, but,
Mhm.
having good music in your life. Always, I mean, that is another thing that just immediately boosts your endorphins is you find your jam, you play it, you dance with your baby or your toddler or by yourself. And that immediately lifts your mood. So.
We just got lifted. We just got
Yes.
lifted
Yeah,
hearing
I
a
feel better.
Well, I do really think that it is so incredibly important. I mean, you brought up so many good points. And I think it's very, very important for us to really get across the message today about focusing, on you and not putting yourself at the back burner and saying, like, oh, I'll have time to do it when they're out of the house. I'll have time to do it when they go to elementary school. And really taking time to do it now because having two teenage daughters, one of the best examples I believe that like I have been able to give to my kids is they do see me taking time. They don't ever think it's selfish. And then when they become moms and they're adult, they'll understand like it is okay. And I should do that because I can show up better in my life and every other time. Instead of saying I'll focus on me later, reinforcing like, mom, you are a priority. You having yourself happy and rebuilding who you are outside of just being a mother to Calvin, a mother to Brinley and to Bela. Like this gives us opportunity. We are more than that. We are more than just a mom. And you certainly, the last thing you want to do is your kids leave and they go to school, they go to college, they start working, and your identity is so wrapped up in being a mom that you look in the mirror and you have no idea who you are.
Right. Yeah. Women are so Incredible. I mean, so multifaceted. And I think there's a lot that we take for granted and how we're designed and what we're able to handle is quite impressive. So, yeah, I think I'm saying this really to myself, the value that we associate with who we are. I saw this one podcast and she asked the person she was interviewing, she said, "Tell me who you are. Take away your religion, your job title, where you're from, where you're born, who you associate with. Tell me who you are."
Mhm.
And I asked myself that because immediately I go to, I'm a mom, I own this business, I'm married to this person, and I grew up here, but who are you? That is
Mhm.
one of the hardest questions
Mhm.
to answer. So, but uncovering that, I feel like in that process, we all will start to feel more love for this incredible person that we are and that we can be. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, encouragement. There's so many seasons of being a mom, even if your children are out of the house, you're still always there for them. But maybe it's a call to action to do something that is just for you, or do something that just makes you laugh, or that is fun, that, may seem childlike, but that brings you joy and brings more out of you and helps you love yourself even more. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. Confidence after kids, it's not really like reversing, it's creating yourself, like your story, the best version of you, and giving yourself grace for, hey, maybe I haven't made this important in my life. It is okay. But moving forward today, celebrate those small wins. Take one little thing and get started. Like we had given some examples of go move your body, find some time in the morning, find some time on the weekends. And if you can really create a habit of doing it, it will be you just continue to build upon it. It really, really does. So I love this episode. I love really talking about it. I think this is also something that we have to continuously challenge ourselves to make important.
yeah.
Continuous, whether regardless of how old your kids are, just not getting into the rut and truly having confidence after you have kids. So we are so excited about this episode of the Women of Fort Mill podcast. And thank you for listening. If you felt like this was a great episode or any of the episodes, would you please share it with a neighbor, a friend? Of course, they do not have to live right here in Fort Mill. A lot of these episodes now are just truly ways to help and ways to inspire, regardless of where people live. Give us a follow on Instagram at the Women of Fort Mill podcast and share this. If you have not gone to your Apple Music or your Spotify and downloaded the episodes or actually requested to follow the show so you automatically download the episodes every week when they come out, we would love for you to do that. That would help out the podcast so much and help us spread our vision to being able to serve more women. So thank you so much, Leah. It was a great episode. Thank you for everything that you always do, not only leading by example, but just the love and the service that you give to so many women.
Ditto, my friend. It is a joint effort. It's always a pleasure.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you for listening today to the Women of Fort Mill podcast. We'll see you again soon.